If you spend time in online spaces, you will eventually be sold a specific version of what it means to hold a masculine frame. It's usually presented as an aloof performance. Never react, never explain yourself, always make the decision. And if she pulls away, deliberately pull away harder. If every move you make, or refuse to make, is calculated based on how your partner might react, you aren't actually grounded. You are still being controlled by a need for approval. You've just learned how to hide it better. A truly strong frame is much simpler. It means staying connected to your own internal values when things like conflict, uncertainty, or the fear of losing someone put psychological weight on you. It is easy to appear steady when a relationship is perfectly smooth, but true frame is an active capability. It only actually reveals itself when you are put under intense pressure. The first place that pressure becomes obvious is emotional conflict. Imagine a partner is suddenly upset with you. Her tone changes. She tells you something you did bothered her, or expresses genuine frustration. A man without much emotional stability will typically take one of two predictable routes. He either becomes defensive and starts matching her intensity, or he completely shuts down and acts like her feelings are beneath him. These look like opposite reactions, but they stem from the same problem: a sudden, overwhelming discomfort with no longer feeling in control of the situation. Emotional regulation does not mean you never feel angry, anxious, or embarrassed. It means those feelings do not automatically decide what you do next. You can listen long enough to understand what she is actually saying before building your defense. You can acknowledge that something affected her without pretending that every conclusion she reaches must be correct. And if part of what she says is unfair, you can address that too, without needing to control her emotional state. Regulating your own response to conflict projects far more strength than either explosive anger or the pretense of not caring. The second pressure test happens when lines are crossed. Maybe she repeatedly cancels plans at the last minute, or maybe the way she communicates during an argument turns disrespectful. If you're afraid of losing the relationship, it's easy to make the fear-driven passive choice. You stay quiet and negotiate against yourself to avoid rocking the boat. On the flip side, some men go aggressive, becoming cold and distant to try and show who is in charge. Neither is a healthy boundary. Control issues commands to restrict someone else. A boundary is a ring drawn around yourself, stating what you will participate in. If someone pushes against it, your actions simply match your words. You never abandon standards because she dislikes it. Enforcing a boundary is an act of internal regulation and self-respect. It is not an act of hostile punishment. The third test comes from something positive: intense attraction. Early in a relationship, the gravitational pull of a new person can easily threaten to destabilize your existing life structure. You might find yourself abandoning your routines, your friends, and your goals, so your schedule revolves entirely around her. Or you might play a performative game of acting busy when you aren't, purely to manage her perception of you. True self-direction means your life already contains things that matter. Your commitments to your work, to your health, and to your family remain intact regardless of the relationship's emotional temperature. This directly translates to healthy initiative. When you have your own direction, you can make clear plans and lead interactions without viewing compromise or her personal agency as a threat to your identity. The more you trust yourself to follow through on your commitments, the less you need a relationship to constantly prove your value back to you. Passivity and aggressive control look like opposites, but they branch from a single root: insecurity. The passive man abandons himself so she won't leave. The controlling man dictates her behavior to feel safe. One collapses inward, the other tries to overpower. A grounded man does neither. He can care deeply while still tolerating disappointment. He can listen without disappearing into someone else's preferences. And he can reconsider a decision without believing he has lost his identity. To audit your own frame, ask yourself 5 questions. When emotion rises, do you regulate yourself or try to control her? When a boundary is crossed, do you communicate clearly or do you punish? Does the rest of your life remain intact during intense attraction? Can you take initiative while still considering another person's perspective? And when wrong, can you admit it without treating it as a loss of masculinity? Developing a grounded frame changes the kind of relationship you are capable of building. You stop shaping your identity around approval, and you can care deeply about someone without making her the owner of your sense of self. External reactions finally stop deciding who you are.